here. Hi, sweetheart. It's so nice to see you.
Good to see you, always.
Always great to see you. Well, I asked you to do this with me because, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I just love you to pieces. But every time I've ever gone to a meeting and you were there, you always had the greatest advice. And I've been doing this for a few months now, and anybody that knows you always mentions you, that they've gotten some really great advice from you. And I am one of those people. I was having a really, really hard time with Nicholas. And you were the person that I've mentioned this like probably 5 out of, the 25 videos looking for that answer. And you were the one that came up to me and told me that you had my answer for me, and that was to continue to set a good example for him and pray. And I didn't want to hear that, but it was so true. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that because it gave me a lot of peace once I was able to do it. But the reason why we're here, the main reason why we're here is that I would love for you to share your story, because you've got a very interesting story, and you're such a powerful example. So I would love to hear what you were doing and what made you decide to get sober.
Well, first of all, I always like to introduce myself as I'm an alcoholic. My problem's Jerry. And that's so true, but we could go through that later. But what it was like. I grew up in a big family, 9 of us, and I was number 7. And it was difficult for me because I always wanted to be something else. I didn't think I was good enough. But then again, on the other hand, I thought I was better than. Okay. And I explain it today as the big book explains it. I was either fighting to be on the top of the mountain or trying to hide underneath it. And at times I was not comfortable in either place. And I used people, I depended on people, but yet I also tried to control people. And I wasn't all that good at controlling, especially my bigger brothers. I had 3 older brothers, and they passed on now. My first brother that passed on shortly after I came home from the Army. And of course I was stationed in Vietnam in the infantry, and when I came home, and a few years after that, and my brother died, got a cerebral hemorrhage caused by an aneurysm. Okay. And nothing to do with alcohol or anything else. He was 29 years old. Wow. And I knew that God took my brother because I took lives over in Vietnam. And I knew that. Oh. I knew that. And, after I came back is when I really started drinking. I drank before that, and I liked it. Okay. And every time I drank, I wanted more. And I would drink just about anything. After I got real bad, after I came back from Nam, I even drank a bottle of Listerine, just for the alcohol content. My wife couldn't keep NyQuil in the house.
You would drink it.
Yeah. Take 1 tablespoon, you take 4 or 5. And never could keep it in the house. So right off the bat, I had a problem with being addicted to a lot of different things.
Okay. How old were you when you came back from Vietnam?
I was 21.
21.
21,
when
22.
You came back. Wow. Okay.
And a lot of things had happened in that time. There's a number of incidences that caused trauma in my life. The earliest being with my little sister. She was 3 years younger than me. It still is. And we were playing outside, and we lived on a farm, and there was an axe there, and I cut a piece of a stick, and I just cut it. And she wanted her to come. So she put it down on the block, And the axe came down, she got her finger in the way, chopped it off. And I can remember, I could see it today, and it was just hanging there, by, by his skin. And she starts screaming, of course, and I start screaming. Her mother comes out, grabs her up, and stops the mailman. And the mailman takes it to the hospital. They couldn't save it, whatever, but, that was years ago. And that never bothered her, she still, it's right there, cut right off.
But it bothered you.
But it bothers me, and I still think about that, After high school, I was going with this girl, and I had picked her up. I had a car, and we were making out and everything else, and she didn't want to do what I wanted to do, and so I got upset, and we couldn't talk. There was no communication there. And so it was getting late, it was raining, and I lived on the back road. And so, got the car, and I was going too fast, it made the corner and hit a tree dead center. Thank God it was a big car, and the speedometer was stuck at 85, so I had to be going somewhere on there. And I was pushed in the back seat, and she got trapped in the front seat. And I remember, driving down that road, and she had her feet up, with her feet up against the dash. In an old car, it was a bench seat, there was no separation. And just before the corner, I knocked her feet down. I don't know why or whatever, but I do know now, that it was the higher power, because neither one of us should have made it. She was banged up pretty good. Didn't know if she was going to make it first couple of days, but then she started to progress. And after a few months, I bought a diamond. We got engaged. As she got better and whatnot, and things started to get a little bit tougher. And one day she said she broke it off. They gave me back the ring. So I got a job at a small machine shop down there on Queen Street, no longer there. And I started to work there. And met this girl that this friend of mine was going out with, and I started calling her. And that was, I can't remember exactly, it was April, I think, of April of 60. April of 66.
April of 66.
Yeah. And September of 66, I went into the Army. I was drafted. And by that time, I had asked her to marry me, and she said yes. That woman stayed with me the whole time until she passed away in 2016. And we were married, still married as far as I'm concerned. She was always there for me through thick and thin, and I appreciated that. We had 2 children. A son was born in 1970, and a daughter was born in 76. And within that time, I was still drinking.
You were?
Yeah, still drinking. I didn't quit. And
was it? Well, she's hiding NyQuil and Listerine from you. Were you coming home? Were you just drinking at home?
Oh,
just
no,
drinking the weekends?
Well, I didn't crowds with women or anything like that, but I got involved with clubs.
Okay.
Eagles Club in Terryville, VFW, all that. With work, I drink at work, and anytime I go to lunch. I live fairly close to work, so
we had the liquid lunch.
Go home, and sometimes I stop at the Eagle Club and have a liquid lunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go back to work, sometimes I wouldn't. When I got out of the service, I went back there. Well, I left there for another place because it was too loud. And, coming back from Bond, I almost hit a couple of people.
I can imagine, right?
And, just jumping out of my shoes. So I found a job in, Terryville, and that's where I worked when the kids were born. that's where I retired from. It was a
Okay.
small machine shop. I was, worked there 50 years. I was
Nice.
part of their family, like. But the first 10 years I was drinking, and it wasn't always that great.
What was the turning point? Did something happen that you were like, I've got to do something, or did your wife say you need to do something, or?
It was a combination of a
Okay.
lot of things.
Okay.
I was always, looking for something, and if I get something, it never was the thing I was looking for.
Okay.
This was gonna. I knew there was a problem. I
Okay.
didn't. I guess I connected it to alcohol, but in the way I didn't. It was my attitude. A lot of people saw more in me than I saw in myself.
Mm-hmm.
They saw the difference between me before Vietnam and after Vietnam.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there was a big difference.
There was a big
And
difference.
I was not really aware of it.
Okay.
I like I said, I was in the infantry, and February of '68 that I was in Tet Offensive in Vietnam, and we were at the front lines, and
You saw that.
we got hit, and
Yeah.
we were fighting back and forth all day, and they finally dropped into some
Artillery.
artillery.
It's
Thank you.
okay.
I'm getting old. And it landed, next to us. There was a couple of us there, and the guy next to me, I guess, got hit, but that bad, and I got scared. I got scared. I got up and I ran, and I ran across the road into a rice paddy, and then another one blew up next to me and hit me in the back of the head, right back of my left ear, and kind of knocked me out and bleeding quite big. So I, they put me in a chopper and took me back to the hospital and whatnot. And I stayed there a couple of weeks, and I was better. They sent me out, back out the same company at the infantry, and I went back out on the field, and the first time that we got fired upon, and you knew it too, because if it came close to anybody that's been in combat knows that, if the bullet's close enough to you, you could hear it. It's like a crack of a whip. It's a snap, very sharp snap. And as soon as I hear that, I would fall to the ground, and I would freeze. Because, after I ran, I figured, you're a coward. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. So I was scared, and I'd freeze, and it happened 2 or 3 times. Being on the more or less the front line, we got fired upon quite a bit. And
I can't even imagine, Jerry.
no, you can't, because and that's okay. But I know it as shell shock, and I didn't realize
You didn't know.
they had a name for it, PTSD.
Right.
And when I
So when
got
you
home,
got back,
when I got back, I went to the VA and whatnot, and I had an infection that I couldn't get rid of and stuff. But I didn't like the VA. It was waiting in line, do this, do that, and a lot of red tape, and so I wouldn't have anything to do with that. The job I got in Terryville was real good, and they
and
paid.
you had your liquor. You had your alcohol.
I had my alcohol and insurance and all that, and I worked good enough to have the money still coming in, and that was it was getting harder and harder. Our son was born in '70, like I said, and daughter in '76, and slowly things started to get a little bit worse. I was staying out later. A couple of times I didn't come home.
Right.
There was times I couldn't remember the things that happened. I'd be on my way back to work or back here or back there, and I'd call up. I had problems with a car. Never had a decent car, and
Car trouble.
yeah.
Got a flat tire.
Yeah, right, something like that. Well, she knew I knew how to change tires, so that was, this broke and that broke or whatever. And she bought it all, and as
Do you
time
think she
went
bought?
on,
Do you think she bought it all, or did she just tolerate it?
she did at first.
Okay.
And, I would tell other guys, well, if you had a wife like mine, you drink too. And if she wouldn't do this or wouldn't do that, one thing, when I got home and I started to go to work, she made my lunch, one day, and I came home, I complained about it. I don't like this, don't you do it this way, or do it that way, or whatever. That was the last time she made me lunch. The whole time we were married, never made me lunch,
Good for her.
I know. I don't know if you ever met her, but she was a very strong person.
How long have you been sober now?
It's been over 40 years. I got sober in August 23rd of 1980.
Times are different now, huh?
I'm not the same person I used to be, and we're talking about it. I get involved with many things, not quite as much as I used to, because of my age and whatnot. I no longer work. I worked up until a couple of years ago, but a big turning point in my life and my sobriety was when my wife passed away. I compare my insides with your outsides. We can't compare insides until we sit down and we tell each other where we're from and what hurts and what don't. Vietnam hurts. It hurt for an awful long time. And when Sue died, I was left with the thing again that I hated the most. That was me. I couldn't see life going on. I couldn't again.
I know you were struggling.
And I was hoping you remember that.
I do.
And struggled very hard.
You came close.
Very close.
Yeah.
I remember living in Bristol and just up from the recovery club, Bristol Recovery Club, and I remember one afternoon going there and just sitting there. And do I go to the package store and get a bottle, or do I go inside? And I went inside, and I spilled my guts. I told everybody what I was feeling. They love me anyways.
They love us until we can love ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we pass that on, and sometimes we need a little back and forth.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes we don't know if we're coming or going, but they always told me if you keep coming, you'll get to where you're going.
Right. Amen. Amen. And all these things that I've heard through the program are part of my life. They're part of my situation. Throughout the years of sobriety, I got more involved with churches and stuff like that, and went on retreats and Holy Family, and I started in 1990 or whatever, something like that, and that was a big part of my recovery, is the spirituality. And I remember going to AA when I was, first getting sober. And I went home to Sue and I told her, "You gotta get God." She looks at me, she said, "How the hell do you think I ever put up with you?" And, from
Got him a long time ago.
From that point on,
that.
we could talk about my disease and everything else. I wasn't ashamed of myself anymore.
No, we can't be.
No,
That's what keeps everybody down, I think, or doesn't.
Well, yeah. The most beautiful thing about AA and my sobriety is people like you that can't live life without drinking or drugging. And they turn around and they become something like that.
I love you.
And,
I love you so much.
That's all that God wants us to do. Be the best we can.
Absolutely.
I'm the only person that can be me.
Don't make me cry, Jerry. here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just love
I
it
get
so
I get emotional.
I know.
I think
know.
that's why people, could listen to me because I
Yes,
tell them like it is.
you do, and you're very open, and you're very
And
honest.
when I don't, they know it.
We know.
Yes.
What's up
They
with
could-
Jerry?
yeah,
Jerry
yeah,
didn't say
yeah.
anything tonight.
Yeah, no, right.
Jerry didn't talk
right,
tonight.
Right.
And I know you've been doing some great work at the VA now.
Yes.
You went back. You didn't like it there
Right,
before.
I didn't like it there. And
I know,
after
but you're
Sue
doing
died and
yeah.
my daughter, Mary, and a good friend in the program, and he convinced me that I had to go
Yeah.
because he could hear me, and he was afraid of suicide, that I would commit suicide. And sometimes I would lay in bed and ask Sue to take me, And I think I can't do this. I just don't want to be here anymore. I got involved with the VA, and it was a turnaround. My primaries there, I found out that I could get compensation. I am now considered 80% disabled with PTSD, Agent Orange, my hearing loss, and a few other things. And the programs that they got there are very, very helpful. And at first I went, in person, and I went almost every day, Monday to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Today I go 3 times a week on Zoom, and sometimes there's a couple of us, and sometimes there's a dozen of us, and it's not all based on just alcoholism, it's addictions.
It's mental health too.
Mental health,
yeah.
I got my psychiatrist there.
Yeah.
I got my eye doctor.
Yeah.
Everything is right there. What a turnaround.
That's awesome.
And that has given me so much.
Yeah, even like the AA meetings, or seeing a psychiatrist, or seeing a therapist, or just connecting with somebody, saying it out loud. We said it today. We said it earlier. A burden shared is cut in half.
Yeah.
And it's that getting that off of our chest.
Right, and it's with people that understand. The VA understood.
Yeah, of course.
I get to talk to other
You get to talk to
Vietnam
us,
veterans.
right? You get to talk to us about alcoholism, but you get to talk to them about what it was like being in combat. And I don't. I have no clue.
Right.
I have no. I can empathize with you and say, "Oh my God, that's terrible." I have no idea. But if you talk to me about alcoholism, I totally get it.
Yeah.
That would be like me trying to tell you, what it's like to be,
have a
pregnant.
baby.
Yeah. You could say, "Oh, that sounds horrible," but it is. It's sharing something with somebody that is.
Your experience to strengthen your hope. Your experience of yesterday. Your strength for today, and your hope for tomorrow.
I love that.
Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
I just love you so much. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, no, you're just always so full of wisdom and your experiences, and I just want to listen.
Just remember, life is an experience to be enjoyed, not a problem to be solved.
I always remember you saying that, always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Give me
you,
hugs.
Minnie.
Give me hugs. Oh, I love you.